right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is a game called Demonizer. Demonizer is a indie shmup. It describes itself as an homage to 90s vertical shmups like Raiden, Strikers 1945, trying to remember, Mars Matrix, what have you. And it is that, and it's how do I put this? Its particular visual style is of a very particular shmup style. One I don't think I would have ever imagined being replicated. And that is arcade shmup ported to the PlayStation. You might wonder what I mean by that. Well, if you can see the Steam footage here, I only got a copy of this game, so that's why we're using trailer footage. But you can see the resolution here. It's a weird resolution for a original shmup that was created and released just a few months ago, isn't it? Here's the thing. This is the kind of resolution you got from arcade ports to the PlayStation. In other systems of the time, but I distinctly remember this on the PlayStation. Raiden 3, I think, had this particular kind of resolution. Right down, and the real giveaway is how squashed it is. You got that because arcade shmups tend to be vertically oriented. This is why Tate mode became a thing eventually. And why the Switch is such a godsend for that particular mode. But the PlayStation didn't really have that, so you had to squash that into the dimensions of a square, and so you get something more like this. That's a neat little touch that I appreciated. And it's also, since this is an original game, you actually don't have anything cut off. And trust me, that shit did make a difference. Anyway, so this is an original shmup. The storyline here is, I'm not, there is a story here. You are a exiled princess, Amelia, who's been turned into a succubus, and you have joined a monster girl tribe. Your sister Angelina has invaded, and you've got to use your newfound power of hypnosis and demonization to save the kingdom and your people. And that actually is the shooting system here. It's got, I think the strongest thing it's got going for it mechanically is its particular shooting system. And what that means is when you shoot the opposing forces, they get stunned and hypnotized, if you will, and they open their hearts, literally represented by blue hearts or red hearts, and that does make a difference. Blue hearts are basically your power-ups, and red hearts are bringing minions into the field, which not only ups your the amount of firepower, but also they will grab the other hearts after you ascend to a certain level. And it's not always easy to collect these hearts, let me tell you, because while I did enjoy this game, I can't say I played a whole bunch of it. I got to about the third stage boss before kind of losing interest. And this is definitely not the first shmup that I've ever had this happen to. I mean, it's kind of my relationship with Ikaruga. I like Ikaruga well enough, but it's just I've never been into punishingly hard difficulty. And a lot of shmups are known for punishingly hard difficulty. And this is no exception.
Well, yeah, if they're not punishingly hard, it's hard to make them last long enough.
Right, and this is the case here, because try to guess how many levels this game has.
6.
7. which is a standard amount. You know, some shmups have more, some have less. I'm like 7 levels is fine for a vertically oriented shmup. No, and yeah, that's kind of one of the trade-offs. You don't have a lot of levels, so you get to be punishingly hard. Um, honestly, my favorite shmup of the modern age is Jamestown because it has that bullet hell appeal, but it isn't crushingly difficult, at least on the lower difficulties. I was playing on the lowest difficulty, and I could only make it, through 3 stages.
Yeah, it's okay for there to be difficulties that are hard. It's just
Yeah, and there
annoying
are some.
when the only difficulty is hard.
Yeah, well, that's not the case here.
Or the easiest difficulty is still really hard.
Yeah, and obviously it gets harder and things escalate. Like point values are higher and all that kind of thing. Um, and yeah, it's the bread and butter of shmups. Um, but yeah, it's not something that retains my interest for very long. Plus, not to mention that the fact that this is a shmup. Um, I'm like, it's not a genre I tend to spend a lot of time with because the games tend to be either short or hard. It's nothing against it. Um, I will note that it's in keeping with the '90s style. It's not overly bullet helly. It doesn't look like a Toho game. Um, it looks like something like Raiden, which could still be very bullet helly, but not overwhelmingly so visually. Most of the time, it gets there at points. Oh, make no mistake. Um, let's see here. Uh, this game is still being updated because, I'm not sure if this was a post-release. I know there are post-release plans, like new characters are supposed to come out.
Or is there more than one character in the game to start with?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just there's a Steam thing here, update plans for 2021. But it's got a bonus mode, which a bonus mini game featuring alcohol consumption. Yeah, basically there's a royal party being held, and Princess Amelia is mad that she wasn't invited, so she decides to literally crash the party and get as drunk as possible. And your power-ups are glasses of wine. And the drunkenness actually happens. As, the more you get powered up, the more drunk you get. And the harder it gets to control and see. It's a nifty little mini mode. But I'm glad that wasn't the main game. So let's see the soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack was okay. I gotta admit that I think the soundtrack was one of the weaker aspects of the game. It's not bad, but for a shmup, it's pretty unmemorable.
Yeah, where shmups are usually you want some good music while you're shooting stuff.
And it's not bad, but but I know, one of the strongest aspects of shmups is usually your visual, your audio design, your music. There are a lot of great shmups that have excellent soundtracks. I couldn't say this was one of them. Not bad, but a bit lacking too. Mm-hmm. The graphical style is hand-drawn pixel art. I don't know how many people worked on this exactly, but we are scheduled to interview the principal developer of the game. Looking forward to that. She might be watching this video, if not now, then later on. But, we look forward to it. Anyway, pricing. So the game is clocking in at $11.99. Is that a fair price? Overall, I think it is. I think it's got enough gameplay chops, and especially if you're a a big fan of this era of shmups, you will appreciate the love letter. Um, and it's from the nicer looking side of that particular era, not the oh hey 3D's a thing, and you,
Let's
you
ignore all the stuff we learned about how to make 2D stuff look good.
well yeah, it's like you know fucking Thunder Force 5 or even Iron Hander. Iron Hander is a great game, but still early 3D polygons. You know, I know people want to say that that it has its charm. I'm like, maybe, but not from the stuff of that actual decade. Like, I I will never ever pine for the days of fucking warped textures, jaggies that could serrate my eyes, or the Vaseline vision of the N64. A native N64 game.
But Adam, that it's 3D. That's one more entire D than it was before.
Look, look. The jump to 3D had to happen in order for it to get good. In order to not just look good, but play good and have a functioning camera and kind of those kind of things. But growing pains. You know, by the PlayStation era, late 90s, we could do some really, really good things with 2D. And this game is definitely reflective of that. It's like if it were if it were released in the era, it probably wouldn't be heralded as one of the best. But it probably would have been a lovable niche second stringer. That's not bad. I'm just saying, um, you know, it wasn't doing what, say, Psycho was with the CPS2 board.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So I'd say solid shmup, um, and it's worth picking up. I suppose that's about it. Like, yeah, that'll be about it for Demonizer. Be sure to tune in after the break as we will be reviewing Ord.